Hey, what is going on YouTube? So thank you very much for checking in. It's Caleb here again. So in this video, I want to continue my story. So I knew that I made a video a long time ago to talk about like how did I learn English, how did I apply for the working holiday permits, how did I get my design career started in Canada, so all this good stuff. And then I left off the video at where I mentioned I got the immigration program. I applied for it. I wasn't supposed to get it, but then eventually I got through, and then I got the kind of like the PMP program at that time. So after that, then I got fired a month after I got the PMP visa. So I kind of want to continue the story from that point, because I think like my story may give you some more insights on like what happened, what do you want to do with their career. So yeah, let's get started. So after I got fired by that job, in Canada, if you applied for the immigration program, then you got laid off, or you got for any reason your sponsor stopped sponsoring you for your job, then you have two options. One is to go back home for sure. The other option is that you can try to find a new job in Canada, but you only have 1 month to find a new job. So at that point I was really frustrated. I was like, hey man, you know, I talked to my boss. I was like, hey, you know, like you helped me so much to help me to get the visa, but why would you lay me off right now? I knew that I did something bad about my job. Like I wasn't really careful about the little details. They kind of mentioned it before as well, but then like I wasn't really improving because I was still making a lot of small mistakes, which by now I got so much better because I triple checked my stuff. But before, my work ethic wasn't really there. I still make a lot of like very small little mistake, you know, like when you work on a brochure, when you work on a manual, there's a lot of tasks, right? So sometimes I was misspell like 1 or 2 words, and you know, like things just kind of kept piled up from there. But I talked to my boss. I was like, hey, you know what, like I only have a few months left before I can get the real visa. Like, can you just bear with me for a few more months and just help me to stay here, and then I apply, and then once when I get my visa, you can decide to let me go or not. Just give me a second chance, man. So but you know, like when they say they fire you right on that day, right? They call me in and they're like, yeah, you know what, like we think we're gonna let you go. So all this stuff, but I'm still very grateful for that employer, because he told me on my last day before they let me go, right? They're like, you know what, you screwed up so badly in this job, but hopefully you'll learn from this job. It's hard for us to trust you in this job right now, but you know, you're still young, and when you go to the next job, just make sure that you don't make the same mistakes again. So I remember that day I went back home, and then I write down all the things that he told me, like what should you do in my next job, how did I screw up in this job, and all this, right? So hopefully I'm not going to repeat the same mistakes in my next job. But anyways, like I only had 2 weeks, because at that time I already bought my ticket to go back to Hong Kong and visit my parents, and I already haven't been back in 1.5 years, right? So I needed to go back, and I was like, you know what, I only get like 1 month to try to find a new job in here. If I don't get a new job, then I cannot stay here anyways. So what happened is, right now, like at that point, I only had 2 weeks left. My flight is leaving in 2 weeks, right? So I had only 2 weeks left. I was really devastated, but I knew that if I don't get a job in 2 weeks, I'm not gonna come back to Canada. There's no way I'm coming back, and hopefully I will find a job. And then if not in 2 weeks, right, then I'll fly back to Asia again. So I only had 2 weeks time. I was really frustrated. I remember every single day I wake up, I'm like, why would I be here right now? I'm supposed to go to work, like what I'm doing at home right now. One good thing about that job is they taught me how to develop websites. So they taught me how to write code. I learned a little bit by myself, but then like at that job, I had a chance to really try to work on more projects. So I know how things work, like how to develop websites. So I spent 1.5 weeks or something like that to put together a better portfolio, because at that time I already saved up quite a lot of work that I can display and show people. So I spent a week to kind of redesign my entire portfolio and code it out and upload everything, and then I stopped applying for new jobs. So there was one thing that I really want to get into at that time was UI and UX design. I know that I've been doing a lot of like print design work, normal website development work, design work, but I want to get into like the UX and UI. So I knew that this is something that can take my career to the next level. So I really wanted to get into that. And then I was like looking at job board and stuff, Craigslist. I saw a company called Asinzens. They're hiring a UI and UX designer role, and the company seems to be really good. They work with a lot of startups, and that is something totally new to me because I've never done anything with a startup before. Like, startup to me is a very new term, and it's a very, very cool term. So I really want to get into this company. So remember, I applied for the job on Craigslist, and then no reply. So for a few other days, no reply, and then I'm leaving in 1 week, right? So I'm like, dude, come on, like, just I want something, right? So I applied. I go to Asinzens website, and then I saw that they have another email. It's the info as something, so it's not the hiring email they use on the post. So I sent an email with my portfolio link. I was like, hey, you know what, like, if I can get a chance to talk to you, I think I can really help you guys out. And then my portfolio wasn't that bad. I mean, like, I've done some pretty good design work, but it's nothing like you know, like startup related. But anyways, I sent it with that email. I got a reply from the owner of Asinzens, right? So they're like, yeah, you know, I want to talk to you. Like, so we get on a phone call, and then they send me a test project. I finished that test project, send it back, and then they're like, you know what, you're hired. And just right before I go home, I knew that I was hired. I was like, dude, I haven't even seen you guys yet. Like, I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. Just only phone interview, right? They're like, yeah, you hired. And I'm like, so when do I need to start? You know, I have to go back home, and then I couldn't start right now. I can start maybe like in a few weeks. So they're like, yeah, no problem. Just go home and visit your parents. And then if you want to work remotely in Hong Kong, you can do that as well. Just come back, and then we can get the paperwork done. And we know that like you need sponsors, so we can help you with that as well. I was totally, my mind blown at that point. I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like, things like that has never happened to me before in my life. So I was just really grateful because I pray a lot at that time as well. I was like, hey God, like, this is a miracle. Because of that, I can go home and tell people what you've done to me, right? So like, I'm just super grateful that that whole thing just happened. It was just crazy. And then I kind of learned one lesson as well. Like, at that day, I'm like, nope. When you think something sucks happened in your life, just don't lose faith. Like don't lose faith, because that could be a blessing to you, you know? Like, it may not be something that is horrible. When you think about it, like, if you're gonna turn that into positive energy, it could be a good thing. So I went back to Hong Kong, and then I be with my parents, come back and started my job at Asinzens, and that was a changing point in my career, I would say. So at Asinzens, I learned a lot of things. So they as I mentioned, right, it's a startup. So it's a startup that builds startup internally. So you get to work on a lot of new projects, very exciting things, like new ideas. The team will have like kind of like hackathons action every single month. So they will like kind of think about what kind of thing out there that we want to build. So then they will put together a team and build it. So everything in the team was really good. The team is amazing. I get to work with people internationally. They hire a lot of people from Europe. They hire a lot of people from South America and Canadian and everybody in the team. So I work at that company when it has like 5 designers, I remember. And then to the point where I left the company 2.5 years later, the company has about like 50 people. So like, I changed from a very small team to a very big team, but I learned a bunch of stuff in there. I do a lot of web development work. I try to like develop all the website that I build in the company. So a lot of things that I design, like UI design, I focus more on UI at that job because they have a UX designer. But at that job, I tend to like do a lot of development work, so which kind of build me into a more like a hybrid designer and developer. But I learned a bunch of UI skill. So about like 2.5 years later, I think that I needed a change. So at that point, there was another company called MetaLab. So there was really popular company in Canada, or like all around the world. I mean, in the startup industry, right, or in just like the design industry, a lot of people know about MetaLab because they work with a lot of big clients. They work with like Google, they work with Amazon, Facebook, and all these big guys, right? So remember the CEO, the founder of MetaLab, he reached out to me on Facebook. Very funny, like he just sent me a message on Facebook. He was like, hey, do you want a new gig? And then I missed that video. I missed that message. I didn't know, right? Because we're not friends. I mean, like, usually I don't check messages that are not from my kind of like my friends list, right? But then like a few months later, I got an email from him, and he emailed me and asked me like, hey, do you want to chat about a potential job opportunity at MetaLab? And I was like, whoa, what, MetaLab? So I know of them, right? I didn't know that they reached out to me before. So I was like, yeah, sure, we can talk. So after that, I got the job at MetaLab, and then I just left Asinzens. But at that point, I don't know if I make a good mistake or not. I mean, I still love Asinzens. The team in there is great. Like, everybody is very nice to me, and you know what? Like, the team is just, I love the team there. But eventually I make the jump because I feel like I can learn more things at MetaLab. I'm still very grateful to Asinzens. I mean, like, if it wasn't Asinzens, I wouldn't be in Canada here right now. So I'm still like very grateful for what they did to me, and they helped me to grow my career basically. So I started working at MetaLab, and I worked there for about 9 months. So what happened in MetaLab is that, like, they have a lot of designers. The design team is so much bigger than Asinzens because MetaLab is basically a design agency, so they create interface design. So every big project, they will put like around 5 designers in the projects, and different other people do different things. So once when I get to MetaLab, I don't know why, if it's the fame of MetaLab, like, I start getting a lot of email from other people. So people keep reaching out to me at that point. I would get like email of other company reaching out and asking me like, hey, do you want to jump ship? Do you want to help us? Do you want to come work for us? So I've been like getting that, like, a few emails every month. I got email from a lot of companies. I got email from like Dropbox. I got email from Fitbit. I got email from like a lot of other big guys as well. But I mean, like, I was working in MetaLab, right? So I don't want to change to another full-time job. I mean, I just don't want to leave, right? But at the same time, I kind of like starting to take on freelance work, because people just reach out to me, and then some of the people, I can turn them into freelance opportunities. They wanted to really work for them for full-time, but I couldn't at that point, right? I didn't want to change. But then, like, so I took on them for working freelance with them. So about 9 months later, and then at one point I was like, you know what, I feel like I can start something on my own. I feel like I can like just start my own company, because at that time, right, my freelance work, like the revenue I'm making from my freelance work, is already more than my day job. So do I want to spend like time to do my day job, or want to like just full on like starting my kind of like career working for myself, right? So at that point, I kind of like just make the move to jump to a full-time, just working on my own thing, taking on my own project. And at that time, I thought like, hey, you know what, if I want to get this serious, I better just make a company for it. So that's the time where I started Alfeo. So I registered Alfeo as a business, and then I take on project from there. And right now, I mean, like, that's closer to where I am right now. So I've been like running Alfeo for like about, I think, 2 years now. So right now, I still take on project myself and then assign it to the team. So my team is basically kind of a lot of remote people. We work collaboratively on Slack. So we take on project, and then if I can do it myself, or if I don't do logo design, if I don't do illustration design, I will assign to the team. And one side thing is like right now one of the very big projects I'm working on is called Classity. It's a startup that is the second business that I'm building right now. So Classity is a platform for people to kind of share their knowledge and teach things and take classes, and whatever you want to teach and learn, you can go in Classity. So that's a very big project I'm been working on right now. So that's basically kind of like catch on my whole time in Canada within the last 6 years. So whatever happened to me, that's what happened, from like my time in Hong Kong to my time moving to Canada, starting my career, getting my first job, to here right now I'm like running my own design things. So life is okay. I would not say it's perfect. I mean, like, a lot of times I really don't have jobs to do, but then like I just use those time to kind of build my side business right now. So a bit update on Classity, because I'm going to be talking a lot of Classity in my channel, because that's one thing that I really focused on in the past years. I've been designing the app for like a year now, and I finally right now it's kind of like in the stage where I happily developed the platform, and I want to launch it in the summer this year. So there's a team, 3 developer building the back end for it. I finished all the front end myself, but it's very exciting. I'm going to talk to you guys later about Classity when it's launched. But yeah, thank you so much for checking in. I mean, like, thank you so much for listening to my story as well. I'm gonna have some links below for my previous video talking about what happened before. If you're interested, you can check out those videos as well. But I think next time I'm gonna talk more about like the design technique stuff. So I want to get back to that kind of tutorial series too. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye.